Hey, welcome back to I Bought This Thing, except I didn't buy this thing. My friend Jonathan bought this thing and let me give it a try out. So today's video is going to be a very limited review of the Leica PRS 5-30 by 56 with the PRB reticle. Now, when we're doing scopes, it's really hard to do good, valid comparisons. So I'm going to do my very best, and I'm going to give you my opinions as to what's important and what's not in a scope. My opinions may differ from your opinions, so take what I'm showing you and my opinions with a grain of salt and go look for yourself. This review was done on top of a tripod, not a rifle. In other words, we didn't do any zeroing checks. We didn't do any tall target tests. We didn't do any box tests. We didn't get to that part on the scope. All we did was look through it to look at the image quality, the quality of the reticle, the field of view, the adjustments, and the general features of the scope to get an idea whether this would be worth considering. So let's start with image quality, because Leica is well known for their glass, and this scope does not disappoint. There was absolutely no fringing. There was no problem seeing through the copious drizzle that was going on downrange from us, and it was a very clear image. As a matter of fact, the contrast was better than my Night Force Attacker F1 7-35, and the color rendition was better as well. At the same time, the Leica was slightly darker for any given magnification level. And this can become important if you're shooting both eyes open. It's up to you whether you think it's important or not. I'm just going to show you the image right here of 30 power at 207 yards looking at this steel target. But once again, this is a personal preference thing, and I just wanted to show you through the Sony camera what it looks like to a camera that is actually doing the image both through the scope and around the scope at the same time. Let's talk about the reticle for just a moment, because this is a really good reticle in my opinion. This is the very sharpest reticle I have ever seen in a scope. It has nice, precise edges to the lines. It's clear as day, and I really like it. I really like the open dot in the center. At first I was a little taken aback by it, but when I started pointing it at my targets downrange, it was a super solid way to aim a rifle. And it gave me good visibility of exactly where I was aiming. Now, this reticle from this view doesn't even appear to have a tree, but it does. It's very, very fine, so it's not obstructing your view downrange, which is welcome for me. I really like being able to see what's going on downrange, whether the rifle rows on me or not. Even though I have managed to mitigate that with a good muzzle brake selection, it's always nice to have that as a backup in case you had a really bad position behind the rifle when you set it off. Let's talk about the adjustments. Now, adjustments on rifle scopes are once again personal preference. I prefer 10 mils per revolution for elevation and windage. The reason is simple. I want there to be some distance between clicks so that I can actually feel the clicks as I move them. That's important on windage, especially with a windage knob that is away from my eye or inside of my minimum focal distance for my eyes. As I get older, I need to do more things by feel, and it's very important to have good, solid, tactile clicks in the rifle scope. The Leica doesn't disappoint at all in that area. The knobs are large in diameter, meaning it takes more physical motion around the periphery to get a click, and those clicks are super solid with big, harsh detents that you can both hear and feel solidly in your hand as you're adjusting them. As a matter of fact, if I could take these turrets and transplant them onto another scope that I really like, we would have quite the Frankenstein that I'd never give up. So the elephant in the room in PRS is field of view. Now, every manufacturer is advertising their field of view, and everybody puts their specs out in a different format or at different power levels, which makes it really hard for the buyer to figure out what the field of view for any given scope is. I'm going to do a kind of a sideways test on this. You may like how I do it, you may not like how I do it, but let me explain to you why I do it this way. And most simply, the higher the magnification, the more you're going to see downrange as far as resolution at the target. So you're going to see where you hit on the steel. You're going to see the mirage better. You're going to see the grass flickering behind the target perhaps as the wind shifts, and you're going to see the dust fly when you do miss. And you're going to miss in PRS every once in a while. So by increasing the field of view, you can turn that magnification up higher to see more downrange while still maintaining the field of view that you would have at a lower magnification on a different scope. So I always compare the total width of the image in mils between scopes to see what the difference in power level would be. The easiest way to do this is to set all the scopes to 20x, because almost every scope out there on the market for PRS will do 20x. So set them at 20x and give it a whirl and see what you get for total image width. Now with my Night Force and my Zeiss, I get 20 mils across the image at 20x. With the Leica, it's only a little over 18. So it is a slightly narrower image, which means that you have a smaller field of view. And in turn, you're going to have to run a slightly lower magnification if you're trying to find targets in the scope. On the other hand, working on your skills so you don't have to do that might be the solution, because otherwise this scope is ideal for all the other characteristics that we want in a PRS scope. So given the limited experience I have with this scope, I can't say yes or no, you should buy this. I just wanted to show you what's available out there so you can make the decision for yourself. All right, guys, until next time, shoot straight. Choose scopes wisely because they're very expensive and hard to resell. And I'll see you in the next video.